Justin Barnes, you're an enthusiastic Bitcoin Unlimited fellow, and you're also starting your own fund. What's the name of it?
Cyber Capital.
Okay, and is it already starting, or?
Yes, the portfolio has been active for more than a year, as a matter of fact, and we've done very well. We've actually outperformed all other cryptocurrency funds that are public about their performance.
Okay. And you're going to start a public one now, and so other people from outside can invest in it if they want to put 100,000 euro minimum in, so they are, so you don't have to follow some rules. When is that fund starting?
Well, that depends on the financial authorities here in the Netherlands. So far, it's looking very positive. We have a very good relationship with the AFM, and we've even been advising them on some issues related to cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, but I mean, January 1st, or this quarter, next quarter, a year?
I would love to give a definite answer for that. My expectation is within the next month we'll be able to go public, but we're very much at the mercy of the financial authorities here because we are doing things very legitimately, and that's the role that we play within this space as well.
You're the investment strategist. Let's talk about all the different cryptocurrencies. What are your favorite currencies at the moment?
So I would say obviously Ethereum is a very fascinating project. It has by far the most institutional adoption, by far the most development. It has the most businesses building upon it. So Ethereum is a very obvious dominant cryptocurrency in the economy today. I'm personally a big fan of Dash as well, since it's the first DAO and it has self-funding mechanisms in the blockchain.
Yeah, the autonomous organization, so there's a lot of governance built in.
Exactly, yeah. And governance is obviously a problem in Bitcoin, so I see many of these alternatives fixing these problems, which is what fascinates me so much about Casper and self-funding governance.
Yeah, so Casper is the move of Ethereum to go away from proof of work and more proof of stake, so don't burn so much electricity. So Ethereum is a fascinating one. Yeah. Dash, you think, is a runner-up, and you think it has potential to become also mainstream?
Definitely. Well, that's very much their goal. They're trying to create the most user-friendly experience compared to all the cryptocurrencies out there. So I think that is a great goal. I think that's something I believe in as well. So.
And you said that there was how do they do governance, and how do they make sure there is money for governance and for the software guys?
I'm going to enjoy explaining this. So in Dash, in Bitcoin, 100% of the block reward goes to the miners. Now in Dash, actually, 20% of the block reward actually goes towards a treasury, which is then decided upon by the masternodes. Masternodes are fully collateralized and incentivized for nodes, which make decisions based on proposals on the network. So essentially the treasury is able to fund development, lobbying, outreach. Dash even has a call center. That is something that Bitcoin can't boast of.
So there's a smart way to fund the community who basically creates the software and the support mechanism. So Dash is really interesting in that respect.
Exactly.
What are some other currencies which we should watch?
There is many fascinating currencies. We have currencies with anonymous properties like Monero and Zcash. I can definitely see use cases there. We have cryptocurrencies, what I refer to as app coins, with very specific use cases, like Economy, which is a decentralized fund platform, like First Blood.
A decentralized fund platform. That sounds interesting for you.
Yes. Well, hopefully this is something we would be able to use, technology will be able to utilize in my own business in the future, but I definitely...
What does it do?
Well, it creates smart contracts that allows you to more securely manage funds. So I definitely don't want my company to be the first to test this out, but maybe once technology is more developed, it is something we could actually leverage ourselves as well.
Okay.
And that seems fascinating, yeah.
Okay, next one.
Another project is First Blood, so that's a fantastic app coin as well.
First Blood?
Yes, First Blood, and that's actually an esports platform, so it allows people to bet in games like Counter-Strike and League of Legends over the outcome of matches between players. This is, from my perspective, I think gamers are in many ways a group of people that would be quite quick to adopt this technology, would be comfortable with the hurdles that requires as well.
Okay. Hey, and then a little bit about Bitcoin. You're part of Bitcoin Unlimited. What's the difference between Bitcoin Unlimited and BitcoinCash? Because I thought BitcoinCash was sort of Bitcoin Unlimited.
Right.
going for bigger blocks now?
Yeah, so I'm a member of Bitcoin Unlimited, and the philosophy of Bitcoin Unlimited is actually that they believe that the longest chain in this case is Bitcoin. So Bitcoin Unlimited still supports what we know today as Bitcoin. However, since then there's been a split, as most of us know, in BitcoinCash, and Bitcoin Unlimited obviously supports BitcoinCash as well. And this is the freedom of choice. Bitcoin Unlimited represents an alternative implementation of Bitcoin, and they also have a version that functions over Bitcoin Cash. But primarily, the goal of Bitcoin Unlimited is to have bigger blocks in Bitcoin itself. Yeah.
And faster transaction. Tell us a little bit. You know a little bit about Bitcoin Cash. Where did that come from? Which group of people is behind that out of the Bitcoin community?
So Bitcoin Cash is a grassroots movement. It is it is a very organic thing, but it does originate as a reaction to what's known as the UASF. So back when SegWit did not have the mining support before the
user-defined.
A user-activated soft fork is the definition of that. So what Bitmain did is they released what's known as the UAHF. I think they're making fun of the first name, but that's essentially
make the expression. Tell us.
User-activated hard fork. So this was a reaction to the implementation of SegWit on the Bitcoin chain. And one of the beautiful things about cryptocurrency is that it truly gives us the freedom of choice. And in this case, a large segment of people did not agree with the change of SegWit in the Bitcoin code, which created a split in the network. So no changes are forced upon anyone. And this, I think, is a great aspect of how, this technology solves the age-old problem of the tyranny of the majority.
So you say Bitmain made that user-defined hard fork, but what are the group of people who are behind it? Are there?
So I can expand on that. So Bitmain initially started UAHF. However, later on there was a group called Bitcoin ABC, which then later developed it and popularized it among the groups of people that support bigger blocks in Bitcoin.
They've done a good job.
They've done a great job. I've
taught. Now the number 3 or number 4?
That's right. Yeah, I believe it's number 4. You'll probably correct me there on YouTube here,
but it's worth $450, and it's really a very successful, super successful
That's right.
alternative coin.
That's right. I mean, it could well one day be worth more than Bitcoin itself. So there's a lot of potential there. I mean, personally, obviously, I don't believe in a future with small blocks and high transaction fees. I think that's a dysfunctional system, even with a flawed long-term security model. Yeah. So the question is, I think for a lot of people is, maybe Bitcoin Cash was too little too late, so the alternatives might still rise in comparison.
We'll see. Now, some other things. What do you think of Neo, for example?
I'm actually not a big fan of Neo, I have to admit. We, as a fund...
It's sort of an Ethereum competitor from China.
Yeah, there's the Chinese Ethereum motto that they like to put out there. But, we look at fundamentals. As a fund, we do code analysis, we look at fundamental analysis, we look at the merit that these projects have. And in the case of Neo, it's simply delegated proof of stake, which isn't particularly original. It's been around longer than Ethereum. It hasn't had much development. I don't think it's a particularly interesting project. So
that's Chinese, and Chinese is, of course, can be a horror and can be fantastic. What did you think of the last correction, the last runner-up, and then the correction? How do you view that?
I think it was an expected correction. I think something that goes up that fast also needs to go down. So, we've seen this before, and overall, I think it's a rising tide because I really believe in this technology. It's the future. And
okay, you started in April last year, 2016. What is your return on an investment at the moment?
So the fund, I've been doing this for more than 4 years, studying this full time, but the fund started last year, and since we've made more than a 3,000% return on investment within that time period. So
and how much was invested in that fund?
I would say about, at that time, initially about $1 million. So we have quite a sizable amount in the fund now.
So you've had some playtime, and now you want to do it with big numbers. Do you have any idea what the new fund, the new external fund will be? How much money you're looking for?
Well, I think this is a big question mark at this point. But
Will it be 5, 10, or 50?
under the current regulation, and part of our business plan is we're continuously trying to get higher licenses, essentially. But under the current license that we're under, we're actually limited to 100 million. So.
Oh well, 100 million should be okay. First 1 million, then 100 million. What's the URL of the fund?
It's www.cyber.capital.
Okay, so if you want to get into the knowledge of Justin, then go to that fund and send your 100,000 euro. You cannot send Bitcoin, huh?
Unfortunately not. Due to
licenses, yeah.
Yeah, KYC and AFM, we're not allowed to accept cryptocurrencies. So.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.